Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about how to spot a fake Rolex. Rolex watches are one of the most counterfeited products in the world. These low-end counterfeit watches are really easy to spot, and most of them are produced in factories in China. But the super fakes, we're not really sure. The quality's really good, they could come from China, they could come from anywhere. The fact is they're really secretive about where these watches are made because it's an illegal product to produce. There's the super cheap ones that can be had for 50 bucks, there's the better ones that cost a couple $100, and there's the really, really good ones that are around $500 that can be almost indistinguishable from the real thing. At Bob's Watches, authenticity is our #1 priority. We stand behind this with a lifetime 100% authenticity guarantee, and every Rolex watch on our site is certified pre-owned using only genuine Rolex parts. This is meant to be a general guideline on what to look for when you're spotting a super fake. We have a couple different watches here, but this is by no means encompassing of everything you're going to see out there. We only have a couple different models, and we're going to go over what to look for on those, but there's lots of other stuff, and this is meant to be a general blanket on what to look for. So we're going to go over all of them, see some of the differences, and let you know what to look out for. Let's start by taking a look at the easiest to spot counterfeits. Here on the left, we have a fake Rolex that can be had for around $50. Here on the right, we have a real genuine Rolex day-date. Right off the bat, you can see there's some major differences. So a dead giveaway with this watch is the fact that it's gold-plated. If this was a genuine Rolex President, it would be solid gold case and solid gold bracelet. This one you can tell is plated. So if you're looking at a precious metal Rolex and you notice that it's gold-plated, it's definitely a counterfeit. On the right, we have a genuine Rolex automatic movement where the second hand just continuously sweeps all the way around the dial. On the left, we see nothing. It's because it's not an automatic movement. If you wind it, if you shake it, it still wouldn't work because it's a quartz movement in there, and it's a broken quartz movement at that. Because a lot of times they use really cheap movements in these and they don't last very long. Next, we'll move on to the printing. You can tell on the fake that it's just really fat, it's not super clean, it's just the proportions are wrong. This one's really sharp, really clean. I mean, everything is perfect on it as it should be. You see the Rolex has the 2.5 times magnification on the Cyclops. It magnifies that date in there really large. It fills this Cyclops entirely, and it looks really nice. The one on the left has a very small magnification, around 1 times, 1.5 times. You can just tell by looking at it that the date doesn't look nearly as large in that window as it's supposed to be. Okay, moving up, we have a little bit better counterfeit here. On the left, we have probably around a $200 fake Submariner, and on the right, we have the real deal, genuine Rolex Submariner. Right off the bat, we notice this one has a sweeping second hand. At this level, a lot of times you won't see that quartz movement that tips you off for the cheap ones. It will have the sweeping second hand like the Rolex. Next, we look at the printing. Again, it's just not nearly as clean as the genuine Rolex. The proportions are off, the printing is usually pretty fat, and the Rolex one is clean, tight, and perfect. The markers on this counterfeit are also different than the markers on the genuine when you get up close and look at them. When you look at the real Rolex, the markers are flat, they have the gold outer ring, and they have the loop on the inside. If you look at the ones on the counterfeit, they don't look like that. They're really bubbly looking. The round ones look different than the square ones. They're taller. They just don't look like the ones do on the genuine Rolex. Here we have the less magnified Cyclops, usually around 1 to 1.5 times. If you look at the genuine Rolex, it's that standard Rolex 2.5 times magnification. When you look at the movement of the $200 fake is when you really start seeing some differences. Again, we have the counterfeit here on the left and the real Submariner here on the right. Right off the bat, you can tell this is very different on the insides. First off, there's this big plastic spacer on the inside of the fake Rolex. Rolex doesn't do that. They don't have spacers. They're definitely not plastic. You notice that this one is engraved. It has information. It has the caliber number. It's fit and finished very well. It has this jeweling and these details. Everything is just finished very nice and very clean. Here we have the top level counterfeit Rolex. On the left, we have what I'll call the super fake, which is a really, really good copy of a genuine Rolex. And on the right, we have the genuine Rolex Submariner. And at this level, it's very hard to tell the difference between the two. It really takes an expert with a trained eye that knows exactly what they're looking for to be able to spot the differences between these two watches. To start out, you notice that it has a sweeping second hand. At this level, it's always going to have an automatic movement. It's going to be really smooth. It's going to look just like the Rolex. Next, let's take a look at the Cyclops. We see the standard Rolex 2.5 times magnification over here on the right. And on the counterfeit, we have almost the 2.5 times magnification. This one has a ceramic bezel. It has the inserts, and they're just ever so slightly darker than the ones on the Rolex. Again, when you see them side by side, you can point out the difference. If you saw this as a watch from Craigslist or on a forums or something like that, and you're not holding it up to a genuine Submariner of the same model, it would be extremely difficult to pick out these subtle variations. Another comparison that we usually go to is the hands and the hour markers. Here, these markers look all but identical to the genuine. They're flat, they're clean, they're perfect looking, they're really well done, and they're really high quality. The buckle and clasp on this is so good. It's designed exactly like the genuine Rolex, and it operates in the same way. Flip up, open, has the same function as the genuine Rolex. It even has the glide lock diver's extension where it pops down, slides out, goes back. It operates really smooth, it operates really nice. You can kind of see inside. Looks just like the Rolex, and it operates in the same exact way. They've gone to every detail on this watch, and even the case back is almost perfect. You'll notice that the engravings are the same, the sizes are the same. Definitely always check the model numbers and serial numbers and make sure that they're correct for that watch, but at this level, they almost always are. We have the case backs off, and we're gonna take a look at the movements of the counterfeit Rolex and the genuine Rolex. At this level, they're almost indistinguishable. If you notice on the genuine, it has the decorated movement, it has the jewels, it has the caliber engraving here. If you go over to the counterfeit, everything is the same. It has the same engraving, it has the same caliber, it even has the same blue parachrome hairspring. It's a slightly different shade of blue, but unless you're holding the two watches next to each other to be able to tell the difference, you're never gonna be able to catch that. Today we had an up close look at 3 different levels of fake Rolex. These fakes are so good now and so hard to spot that the best tool you have to avoid one is buying from a trusted source. Authenticity is our #1 priority at Bob's Watches, and we stand behind this with a lifetime authenticity guarantee. We see hundreds of Rolexes every week. Our experts double and triple authenticate them for this very reason. These fakes are so good, and they're getting so close to the originals that we have to triple check before it makes it to our site. Hopefully this video helped you guys out if you're in the market for a pre-owned watch, and if you found it useful, be sure to like and subscribe for more how-to videos, reviews, and comparisons.